This is the RSN News Network. S News with Michael Lewis. RSN News and Michael Lewis. There is a probability on Tuesday that former President Donald Trump will be arrested. There is a possibility that the arrest may be looming from some other charges against the former president from the state of New York and some other documents regarding his evasion of taxes and business reporting. But this does not also include the actual arrest of him possibly involved with the insurrection back in 2021. President Biden says that he will meet with financial advisors and also with the DOJ and also with Janet Yellen, the financial secretary, on Monday in regards to the recent closings of two banks and the possibility of being able to get larger banks such as Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, and also Wells Fargo to be able to help these smaller banks out who are in desperate trouble. The West Coast is breathing a sigh of relief somewhat after relentless rains and snowstorms for the last 3 weeks. The good caveat to this is that the state of California has now reached its great level of water, and also they have now replenished mostly all of the water needed to end the drought. However, there are more storms that could be headed toward the Golden State on Wednesday. If you're thinking that your bracket was bad, think again. March Madness has only had 0.11% of those playing have perfect brackets left after major upsets on Thursday, Friday, and yesterday. Wall Street, there was madness after the breakup of First Republic Bank on Friday, but the markets did rebound. It ended at 134.50, but down for the week 4%. NASDAQ and also S&P finished down 5%. More in a moment. In sports, the madness continues. Even if your bracket is busted, there will be some great games today. And a lot of actual people in Westwood Casino in Las Vegas is stating that for the first time ever, the men's championship in Houston could be hosted by the host school, Houston. There is a 95% probability that the Houston number one seed Houston Cougars, who won last night, defeating Auburn by a score of 81-68, with two more wins, they could be the first ever college to host their own NCAA March Madness championship. As far as the women are concerned, South Carolina will try to defend their title, but will be with a little bit more stiffer competition in the next two rounds. If South Carolina wins, Dawn Staley could be the first ever African-American female coach to win two-back titles in NCAA women's history. Now, weather for your area. The weather for the Houston metropolitan area is going to be a little bit more unseasonably cool, but we'll have less rain and probably more sunshine during the rest of the day. It'll slowly, gradually warm up at the end of the week by highs being close to 81 degrees. Right now, it's 54 degrees in downtown Houston. That's going to do it for your news. On the RCN News. This is the RCN News Network. The Weekend Vibe is a RSN News Rebirth Media Network's presentation and production. All rights reserved 2023. You're listening to The Weekend Vibe on the RSN News Network with MC Lewis, Juanisha, Ray, and contributing hostess Joy Green. Give them talk at 1 800 333 or 145 333 TLK. Now from ports across America, here is the Weekend Vibe. Thank you very much for joining us on the Weekend Vibe on the RSN News Network and RTV television. I am all over the place. I think I'm all over the place. I don't know. I'm here. I am here. I think I'm on the road, so it doesn't look like this somewhere. I have Cornice in the house with me. Cornice, how are you? It's like she froze on. It's a delayed response, I guess. 1 800 337 7171 1713. There we go. Cornice, you kind of froze on me for a minute. How are you? Not getting a sound from her. I can hear you. You can't hear me? Can you hear me? We're trying to get her settings in. What we're going to do is we're going to actually take a small break. We're going to try to get Cornice's sound. You're listening to the Weekend Vibe on the RSN News Network and RTV Television. Hey, I'm MC Lewis, and actually, whatever reason we had a glitch in the system. Actually, they're trying to get Tony back into the studio um, as well. We can get her back to the studio. Yeah, three, one, three, three, talk for 4 and 5. TLK. Grants are working. Grants are on the road here as well. College and also some other sports actions as well. So hang tight. We're going to come right back. We're trying to get back on the air here. Trying to get Tanisha back here on the News Network and RTV Television. Well, just stay close. One more. You're listening to the Weekends of Live on the RSA News Network. This is the RSN News Network. This is the RSN News Network. You're back on the Weekend Live on the RSN News Network. 1-800-333 TLK and 115 TLK on the RSN News Network's The Weekend Live. MC Lewis. Juanisha is actually trying to get back into the studio. What has happened for some reason or other, there was a surge where we were, and we lost the we missed the minute. That's where we had the interruption. Um, I actually, we actually are trying to get her to come back. Um, we'll get her back. I thank you very much for listening to us as well. Um, we are here. We're still here on the RSN News Networks and RTV television. We just still try MC Lewis. We're just still trying to get Juanisha back in. Uh, we try to get an actual signal back in with Juanisha for her area in Atlanta. What would you say a quick break when we come back? We're actually going to have more. We could definitely have this show rolling. The RCA News Network's for Weekend Live. You're listening to the Weekend Live on the RCA News Network. You're listening to the RSN News Network. This is the RSN News Network. This is the RSN News Network. You're back onto the Weekend Live on the RSN News Network. 1-800-333-TALK or 1-415-333-TALK. I'm just really into this. And Juanisha was with us today. I'm not for sure. Trying to get her signal back in as well. Not for sure where her signal went to. But we're trying to gain her signal back in the Atlanta area. Um, but anyway, a lot of things that we need to talk about as well going forward on the show as well. And I'm going to try to do this as much as we can with the camera. We know that the situation with her, with Quanisha's power is actually, for some reason, it's um, kind of gone. Um, and what happened was is that we actually had um, a minor power blip, and then that kind of knocked us both onto the air as well. So, do thank you very much for those who stayed around to listen as well. All right, so hopefully, as we try to work on each to get back in there with this, let's move on with the show as well. Um, as you probably know, we have a lot of things coming up. April's going to be a very good month for us as well. Now we won't have a show April 2, but April 9th, and that's no April Fooling, but April 9th, all the way up until the end of the last Sunday in April on the 30th, April 9th to the 30th, we're going to actually have a discussion in regards to in regards to domestic violence and mental and mental health. We're going to devote that show, and we're going to have victims. So we're going to have also try to have Joy Green back on the show. We're also going to have people who are going to be those authors from um, the authors from the actual book, Joy's book, Your Voice Matters. So we're going to have some authors from that show as well. Um, I mean, from that book as well, and we're going to have to try to have them on as well, and have them on. Joy, as you know, great friend of ours, a great colleague of ours, and she's been on the shows before, and she's always welcome to come back. And we're going to try to have her back on with a panel of some of the writers of that book as well on the sometime in April as well. All right, so let's go with this. We always do this show, and we always know that there is a lot of things that we have to talk about. I mean, also follow us on Twitter on The Vibe Weekend on Twitter as well. All right. So here's the thing. As you probably know, Tuesday, former President Donald Trump has basically stated he predicts his own arrest on Tuesday. As you know, he's actually put his hand in everything, and now has also put himself back into the race to run for president of the United States as well. We know that could this lead to a national divide? Could it lead to some actual hate groups, American hate groups, to actually actually yeah, I'm not for sure if that's going to lead to something different. I'm not for sure of that, but could this lead to national divide, and could this lead to a divide of maybe hate groups coming back or something? And they say, the thing with me is the fact is that I really think that, when you're predicting your own arrest, he's really actually looking at it as such as being maybe possibly he's saying to himself, hey, maybe I did do whatever. Maybe I was the insurrectional person that led the insurrection. Maybe you did do that. I'm not for sure. But maybe you did, cause a lot of divide among America, and left everybody in the dark in regards to the situation during the pandemic, when businesses were struggling. And yes, you gave them money, but didn't tell them in regards to anything else regarding, they would have to actually they would actually have to struggle even after you would leave office as well. So predicting the only arrest is fine, but the deeper national divide, it's already, he left it in division already. So there was nothing that you could have done that could have led anything even more different. But Donald Trump leading it to a national divide, it's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, I'm actually going to go back to the camera. I believe we have Quanisha back, and I'm going to add her on. There we go. Finally. Finally. It took us a long time. But hey, people learn Spanish through this break. Quanisha, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh boy. I didn't know if we were going to get you back or not. As you probably know, we were telling the actual listeners as well about, we had a power blip here where I'm at on the road because I'm traveling with basketball and everything. But as you probably know, former President Donald Trump has basically stated that Tuesday he's predicting himself to be arrested. I hope he's going to prison. In any event, but do you think basically that he's setting himself up for possibly? Is this more of a stunt? Maybe you're thinking possibly a stunt. Maybe these says I'm predicting my own arrest. Do you think that's a stunt?
Definitely. I feel like he will say almost anything to make himself relevant, like to continue having people talk about him. So I would not be surprised if it's just a stunt.
I wouldn't either. And I think because the fact is he actually said he was going to run for president again. It's like, oh, please, let's vote for him. Let's feel sorry for him. But here's a guy that divided the nation, had us in ruin after COVID started, and then started calling it the Chinese virus and everything like that, and building walls and golly, it was just a total mess. Um, I don't know. I mean, maybe it is a stunt. Maybe the DOJ has something on him that where they're trying to that's maybe causing them to say, hey, maybe I am going to be arrested. You but we can only see. We can only see. Um, let's move on because we got to get caught up. And I know you have it, and I have it as well, Cornice. And I'm going to tell everybody, please read this book. Your voice matters. Please read this book. We're going to have Joy Green back, but please read this book. A lot of people, a lot of authors are on this book. Please read this book if you get a chance. Buy it. We'll even have a link where you can buy Joy's book as well. Collaboratively, I haven't had my head has been in that book every single day this week. Let's go to our next topic. And I know we have to talk about this. It's kind of sad. It's another sad story within the African American community. As you probably know, Ito Une, a 28-year-old father of a little girl, was actually smothered to death in a Virginia prison, and he was smothered by seven sheriff's officers and three workers within the mental facility. As you probably know, these guys are actually facing they're facing conviction. Most likely, as the trial comes up, they'll be sentenced in on most likely in April, but the trial will start on Monday just outside of just north of Norfolk. As you probably know, Cornisha, we talked about this 3 weeks ago, in regards to the other situation regarding Trey Nichols. Yeah, I think, and his murder in Memphis with African American officers. Now this again. The black on black rage. What are your thoughts on this latest situation where it's involving officers of the law that are African American?
I think it just circles back to having power over people, the same as before. Once you
Mm-hmm.
get a certain level of power over someone, you don't feel like you can be touched, or you feel like you can do whatever you want to people. Race
Mm-hmm.
aside, you feel like you can do whatever you want, and no one's gonna stop you, or no one's gonna, reprimand you if you hurt someone. Like, you think you're above everything. Like, if you are the law, you feel like you're above the law in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I think that it doesn't really matter what position you're in. I mean, we see this every day during the week, but I think the really big thing is that you have people that are, like I said, you get that clout, and you get that powerful position. You're making six figures, you're making eight figures, and then you forget where you're from. and you sometimes need a humbling moment, and you say, no, 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 I'm gonna go it the other way, and then I'll take somebody out, and it may be somebody wrong color. Now, this young man he had a mental, there's rages sometimes, there's mental rages, and you went to, well, when to go and have 10 people to hold him down because he wasn't resisting, that's not a good thing. It was just, it is a man that probably had a mental moment. Mental rages sometimes happen, but not to get 5 to 10 people to strangle this young man.
That's excessive.
That's unheard of. That's unheard of. That is totally unheard of. I think that the sad part about it is, Quanisha, I think the thing is that hearing about the Trey Nichols situation and then this guy's situation, how many more voices are going to be lost? How many lives are going to be lost among African American males, even possibly females, that are in, maybe mental or just correctional institutions, whether it be big or small. How long is this going to happen where you would, but power for some reason or other, it takes us to another level that we don't understand for some reason, that, hey, your power can be done today. You may have the power today, but tomorrow you may slip up and this could happen to where you could lose that power, and you're tainted forever. But it's a sad situation. The Weekend Vibe right here on the RSN News Network and RTV Television. Thank you, everybody, for hanging with us as well. Like I said earlier, when the show started, we had a power glitch here in Texas that was kind of rolling because it was, some parts it was so windy the other day, and the power is kind of back and forth. Any event, MC Lewis, Quanisha, don't forget April is going to be a big month. Joy Green, we're going to get her back on the show with us as well. But some of her people that in his book that I was just showed you, from Your Voice Matters, we're going to have about 5 of those people be guests along with Joy in a huge panel. We're going to have a panel of people who have actually suffered from different angles, and we're going to discuss mental health and also discuss domestic violence. And we're going to all put all the 3 are athletes and 2 of them are doctors, and one's a poet as well. So hang tight, April, and it's no fooling. We're going to be actually having a very intense 4 weeks starting April 9th. Now, April 2nd, no Weekend Vibe as well, because I'll be in Dallas as well. Let's go to this next one. I know Quanisha will say, knock on wood, it has not happened to me. But as you probably know, there has been a high amount of working moms, and now a high amount of working moms to be is a post-pandemic baby boom. As you probably know, looking at as you look at Psychology Today and also Medical Today magazine as well, stating that since the pandemic has lessened, there has been a boom of childbirth among Gen Zers from the ages of 21 to 26, at least 25% increase over before the pandemic started. These are moms that are working. But it's not happened to me. It hasn't happened to me, knock on wood. What are your thoughts on this increase of Gen Zers between 21 and 26 that are now first time moms to be and still working from home or working in the workplace?
It doesn't surprise me, because I know that a lot of us in our 20s like felt like our life was kind of paused or it was put on hold and everything, like during the COVID times, a good 2 or 3 years, it's kind of like, okay, everything's on pause. And
Mhm.
I do feel like,
Mhm.
people want to move on. They want to, start new chapters and do new and different things. And childhood, I mean, parenthood,
Doing different things.
doing different things for a
Right.
lot of people. So I'm not
Mhm.
um, not surprised. It's very interesting. Um,
Yes. And yeah, I'm not surprised neither, and
mhm,
really I think because of the fact is that there was a lot of time where we had, there was a lot of spare time where
mhm.
they were together with boyfriends or fiancés or whatever, and there was no movement, so they were quarantined to the house, and that's understandable. Most of it was basically winter storms or last year or a year before, and still quarantined. Um, I know that, for me, I think the main thing is that I think also the pre-pandemic baby boom for the younger Gen Zers between 21 to 25. I think it's because of the fact is most of them are trying to start new chapters early, and then trying to finish school new chapters early. And for some reason or other, I don't know. It's really strange, but we see it every day where we are during the week. And I see it every day because with the team I'm with, the new team I'm with, we have four moms on the team, moms to be on the team. So it's understandable. It's understandable, and but it creates a sense of it's tougher, I think, for younger moms under that age of 26, between that range, because of child care and everything else, and I think that's maybe because of the fact is there are new programs that are going to be coming up for moms, that are working as well. You're listening, watching the Weekend Vibe right here on the RSN News Network and RTV television. 1-800-333 TLK or 1-415-33 TLK. It is MC Lewis. It is Quanisha. And again, welcome. And you can also follow us on The Vibe Weekend on Twitter. All right, here we go. You and I see it every day, and you guys see it every day. And for a fact is that we have Gen Zers that are usually in leadership. And we know for a fact is that they can be good leaders and they can be bad leaders. Are Gen Zers bad leaders in the workplace or good leaders? These we're talking about now, the under 25s. Can they be bad leaders or good leaders?
For me personally, I don't think they're any worse than anyone else, honestly, because I've had, bad leadership from all ranges of ages. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
think they're any worse than anyone else. I do think sometimes it does depend on the environment and the person, because sometimes having a younger,
Mm-hmm.
leader manager could be an advantage, and sometimes it could be um, a disadvantage, basically.
It could be, yeah, it could be both. Right, right, right. I definitely agree with you, and I think like I said, the environment that we're in during the week, uh, we see All right. So we actually had another power surge again, and thank you very much for joining us. And I just want to add on that the actual the Gen Zers are actually it could be a little bit of a time of where we are in the workplace. There we go. Quenisha's back with us, and but they stopped playing with this power. Anyway, so thank you very much for joining us again. Like I said, we do apologize. It has been where I'm actually at, just outside of Houston. There has been some people actually working on power outside, like the local people as well. But yeah, I definitely do agree with you as well, Quenisha. I think that there is a get this off here. There's a there's a situation where it's something else. It is trying to hide this here, and there we go. Okay, back. We're back. Okay, great. Uh, I'm going to call this technical Sunday. We're going to call this technical Sunday. It was like, okay, I'm going to fill out a tech log. Anyway, um, so yeah, so let's go quickly here because I know we've had kind of like a partial show for some reason today, but just want to let you guys know, and I know Quanisha has her copy as well. This is good. This is good. This is good. What you want to read. You want to read your voice matters. I know Quanisha's had got her copy, and from Joy as well. And this is a very good book. I'm already deep into almost the end of the book. And I've just been so compelled with all of the authors and their poetry and everything. Oh boy. We're gonna try to have them all on the show for in April and try to target that for April as well for a renewing of the spirit, the mind as well for April. And they're gonna tell all their stories and how they went from that point to that point. Um, Vibe thoughts are going to be Vibe thoughts are brought to you by Evermore, Evermore More Better Water, www.evermore.com. All right. Even though it's been a partial show today, Juanisha, what thoughts have you had? Have you been able to read the book yet?
I haven't. I haven't yet, but it is next on my list because I am very
Next on your
excited.
list,
As
your
soon as I got
bucket
it, I was
list.
like, "Oh my god!" And I even tagged Joy on
Yes.
Instagram when I got it.
Great, great. Yeah. What are your thoughts about this past week? I know with the situation with the gentleman. What are your thoughts
Um,
that? But what are your thoughts um, about anything about even with the situation happening in Virginia?
my thoughts are like the more you educate people, the less things like this happen. Like just educating people on the reasons why Black
Mm,
values are considered less valuable, and educating them on the psychology of power and how it can warp your mind and how it can make people completely different than who they were before. Um, and I do feel like training is probably necessary too, because I don't think that any um, when people move into a leadership position or in a position of power where they're over people in general, I don't feel like people understand or they are not well trained on how to handle power, how to handle um, being able to be over another
mhm.
person and not abuse it. because even in leadership, like when it goes into the leadership conversation, a lot of managers, leads abuse their power over other people just because they can, and that's never something that
Mm.
is talked about, um, like when they step into the position.
Right, right. Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And I think my thought process is that the power that people have over other people, whether you know, I approach leadership differently than anybody else because I tell we are people. Those are people that you're managing. You're not managing farm animals, or you're not managing puppies or dogs, or you're putting them on a leash and telling them how to actually run their business, what you need for them to do, or manage them in a way where they're robots. These are people. They have emotions and feelings, and their work process, long as they get their work done. That's all it's really pertaining to. That's all is really needed. Um, I think the sad part about it is that you have to actually you have to actually remember where you were when you first started, and even though you got the leadership position, you have to realize is that you are still a person. These are still people. You're managing them, but you can't treat them as if they're off on a cotton gin or a slave ship or whatever the case may be. Because these folks will produce more than you if you bring them in to make them feel welcome, make them feel important. Then they'll start to be able to produce more for you if you incentivize more than you do instead of demoralize. And that's my thought process. That's going to do it here for the weekend vibe right here on the RSN News Network. For it's been a very crazy powerless Sunday for some reason or other. We've had our issues with power in the where I'm at in Texas as well. But we do thank you very much for joining us on the RSN News Network, the RTV Television Network. Next week, Juanisha and I, hopefully I'm in a better spot to do the show. We're not in power, but we thank you very much for joining us on the RSN News Network and RTV Television. I thank you again. The sports programming is up next on the RSN News Network and RTV Television. And we hope you have yourself a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.